make a move and the bunny gets it.
I said, put the bunny back in the box. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
It's showtime.
Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand we here idle? What is it the gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is life so dear, or peace so sweet? As to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. Of course, others. But as for me, give me liberty, or give me death.
Psychically, I'm very well endowed.
I want to know what you're thinking. There are some things you can't hide. I want to know what you're feeling. Tell me what's on your mind.
Hey there, this is Cooper from Telepathic Bunny Comics. Welcome to a Thursday night show, What's Next? And tonight, I believe a young gentleman I'm about to have on, I think he's partially about what's next. And we're going to talk to him about his current projects, review an old project of his. And he's so welcome to the show, Mr.
You done messed up, A.A. Ron!
Uh,
Every time.
Every
Couldn't help
time.
it. Couldn't help it.
I always get that.
Gotcha. I think
How
it's
you doing?
mandatory at this point. I think it's mandatory. Welcome to the show. Nerd Creators Outlet. Yeah, biggest nerd I know, and he's always calling me nerd. What in the world? I think it's the pot kettle. Yeah.
We're both black.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I guess it was a little bit racist. Sorry about that. Anyway,
I don't care, man.
I know.
I'm the
I know.
first.
Yeah, right. You know, I know some people these days, it's like everything's racial politics, you know, it's just like, it gets boring. It gets really boring after a while, you know. It's amazing how preoccupied everybody is with the little half inch of melanin, you know. I mean, just drives me crazy. Anyway, so Mr. Aaron, welcome back to the show. You are somebody who's been on quite a bit. People who come to my show from time to time will recognize you as being somebody that's on. You happen to be Drunk Craig's favorite guest that I've had on, by the way.
Drunk Craig?
Yeah, Drunk Craig.
I missed that guy.
Yeah. He forgot that I'm doing a show, and so he like stuck his head in and said, "You want something to eat?" And I was like, "So," and he's like, "Oh, I'll be right." It's like, yeah, I'll keep it warm.
After that.
That's a good guy. Well, I'm going to do a quick review of the projects I have from you, so people know that I know about your writing. So this will be the first one. Recognize this one? Recognize it?
Yeah, nice cover. Love it.
Yeah. This will be the first thing I ever got from you is Wulfsbane 1. Now, I recognize this was something that you were just like starting out, and but the art is serviceable. It moves the story along quite well.
Yeah, it does what it needs to do.
Yeah, the coloring was kind of dark though. I know you're going for kind of like a horror movie kind of feel to it, but yeah, I thought the coloring was a little dark. Got a little muddy in places, but you had good gore, good creature design, and I really I enjoyed this first one. Very, very encouraged by the direction it was going, so much that I backed the second one. And but this one I'm gonna have to give maybe it's no reflection on you, but as a comic, I'm gonna have to give it about. So, well, the writing was there. The writing was very, very, very good.
Thank you.
You're obviously kind of like in the nascent, kind of like beginning of your writing career, and so, but the thing about it is that you had the pacing, you had the suspense building, and you had the dialogue, and already, so that's there's people I get that are six figures that don't have that, so salute on that. But the second one, I got the version, Universal Monsters version. So, like black and white.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah, got the cool GB stickers. Still got those.
Oh, yeah, the GB ones.
Yeah.
I miss that guy.
But I got this one. This is kind of like the gray black and white movie version. You started out. Obviously, there was an uptake in the art. The new artist is, we'll look at that right there.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's definitely one of that could be a poster right there. That's
really good.
The composition of it and the drama of it, and the fact you don't really see anything but the claws, and that's very good, very good.
Oh yeah, that was meant to be a setup for the next book, but
right.
Change of
well,
plans.
yeah, I did think it was a little odd because it didn't seem to like there was like an investigation and a familiar face doing the investigation, but didn't really seem to lean anywhere. But then there's like his father-son dynamic that was in there. And I really like your premise that, being a werewolf is like the least of this guy's problems,
Exactly.
And it's like being a plus he's, being a teenager is like more challenging than being a werewolf for him. So, I like it. You got the, John Hughes bullying and stuff like that going on. Kind of like,
Who's John?
John Hughes. John Hughes. Yeah.
I know. I just stuttered a little bit. A little frog in my throat. See? Happened again.
Right. There you go. There you go. Including the inks in the back. That was a little bit of a strange move on your part. I didn't quite understand why you did that. There is a lot of art in the back that's really cool. Got some really cool like covers, alternate covers in the back, and including the one that I got for the cover. But and that guy right there.
Oh yeah, my buddy Tom. He did a really good werewolf design, man.
Yeah, no doubt. I really dig this. I always really kind of dug that, kind of Lawrence looking a little bit.
Yeah. New Gray Lawrence. I can't wait.
Right. And then we got this in the back, an advertisement for what we're going to talk about, Pendragon. And so really awesome package. And this one definitely was an upgrade. So I gave.
That's something else we would disagree on.
Oh, we really disagree on it. Oh, okay. Well, the reason why I'm giving you 5, the art is, the art is definitely an improvement. And I didn't get the colored version. I didn't see the colored version. Hopefully the coloring's a little better. Not quite as dark. But the black and white version that I got, I really enjoyed. And I'm looking forward to the next chapter in this story. But what you got right was the father-son dynamics. I mean, the way they were like, there was like so much history between them that they were speaking like father-son shorthand,
Oh yeah.
and that was very deft. The fact that he implied something, and his dad's like, what is that supposed to mean? And he knows exactly what it's supposed to mean, but he's like confronting his son, and then his son's like, never mind, just the teenagers, shit, just
Dude,
like
already playing coy and shit like that.
yeah. But that's like somebody who knows human nature enough to know, because you read all the time people that were like that he would blurt out the whole entire exactly what he meant, but that's not how real people talk. And the fact that you knew that means a lot. These days you'll get an entire diatribe, but this is exactly what I mean, But he was a typical shitty teenager, right? So he said something to like bring up guilt in his father, and then he's like, well, never mind, you wouldn't understand, or something like that, and then storms off, leaving his dad to,
yeah, exactly. But honestly, yeah, they're both kind of shitty people if you think about it.
Oh yeah, right. Well, I mean, but think about it as this, fathers and sons are always shitty in the teenage years. They're always shitty towards one another. And the fact that you didn't you were okay with making your protagonist unlikable in some way. A lot of people have a problem. They think protagonist has to be some kind of like perfect individual or paragon or something like that, because they don't really understand that everybody is gradations of gray. Yeah. They either make their protagonist like too likable and too saccharine and too perfect, or they go the other direction and the protagonist is practically a villain,
I know how that is.
Yeah, I mean, we see a lot of that these days. Well, this is the protagonist, and it's like, that's the villain, okay? That's the villain. So, Everything that goes wrong is because of that person, you know, and they're not taking any responsibility for it. That's a villain right there, you know.
Dude,
And,
like the way that I like to write my some of my protagonists is that oh, that is good water. She was right about that. But
right.
So I like to write my protagonists like flawed individuals, but I want to give them that spark of hope that you know the reader can be like, maybe this guy can change and become something more than what he is right now. Because right now he kind of sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, I mean, everybody has off days, you know. I mean, and the best protagonists are ones that, you know, occasionally they just screw up, because that kind of lets people like identify with them, because everybody screws up, you know. I had a massive screw up today that probably cost me a friendship, and I'm still like befuddled as to what I did, but I'm like not doubting that I did this thing, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, and I like feel real guilty about it, because I'm like, damn, you know, that sucks, you know. I hate that I did that, whatever it was, you know.
I mean, did you apologize?
Well, I knew better than to apologize. You know, this person was pretty much had their mind made up, and they're the kind of person that once that mind's made up, yeah. I just basically said, yeah, understood, you know, and, okay, fine, I get it. And maybe they'll come back around, maybe they won't, but that's out of my hands now. But, you know, I'm not doubting that I did something, you know, somewhere that caused this, and you know, but that's the thing about writing people that like human well, people that interact with other people, people that touch grass, people that get outside of their circle, and people that like you know, read other people's work, you know, or you know, watch other things, or like absorb human nature a little bit. The writing always has a lot more nuance to it. You know, I know you were in customer service, and so you want a good view of human nature, do customer service, okay?
Oh yeah, I live it. It's terrible.
Yeah. So, you get a good view of people at their shittiest, you know, in customer service. You really do. But you know, at the bottom line though, it's you know, reading a lot of writing these days are so one dimensional, you know, to where there's really no nuance. And the characters are all basically caricatures, are not really characters. And you see this in like television writing, movie writing, and book writing, you know, comic book writing especially. And it's just like, you know, like a current thing. It's like a hot topic right now, the acolyte, you know, from Star Wars.
Yeah.
And a lot of the descriptions that they give are just like, that's current day writing. I mean, it's just so current day, you know.
I feel you.
And it's like, go ahead.
No, I want to hear your point before I go on, because I want to make sure I have the right mindset.
Right. Well, like the person that was supposed to be the antagonist the whole entire show, like the last episode, just flipped on a dime and said that they were wanting to be a protagonist now. But then the next show, they switch back to antagonist. And it's like,
so, by that, do you mean like they went from the villain to the hero?
Well,
or do you mean like the character that we're following versus the character that's being opposed? Like, is that what you mean?
Well, it's an evil twin scenario. And
okay, I know exactly what you're talking about now.
Yeah. And so the evil twin suddenly decides, well, you know, now that I know my sister's still alive, you know, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to turn myself in. But then the very next, like, the next thing she does is like villainous, you know, and it's just like.
So they try to do like a bait and switch.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like the person who wrote this had no consistency from show to show to show, right?
Yeah.
People don't turn on a dime like that. People don't just like suddenly like change their mind like that. And with no build up, with no, no setup for it.
Okay.
And you see this a lot, and it just it ruins a verisimilitude, where you're watching something and all of a sudden that person would never do that, or that person's not going to do that. And it's less,
yeah,
because there's internal logic to every character, things that they would do, things that they wouldn't do. That's what creates character,
okay, yeah, I feel you. So, the way that I usually write is I try to focus on characters and characterization as much as possible, because I honestly do think that characters are the people that drive the story. And I'd say like a big problem that some writers may have, and I'm not saying this is the end all be all. You're a writer, you know your own style or whatever. But from what I've noticed is there seems to be a difference between people writing from empathy and then people writing from archetypes. Because if you're writing from a character's shoes and you're actually trying to think of how they would react in a certain situation or what it would be like to do that and not put yourself into it, then you'd be able to get a new like some character development and stuff like that. But for an archetype, that can pretty much be anything, and you're pretty much reading it. You're pretty much just it's like you're having a sim. Like you play the Sims, right? Yeah. Like sometimes like the Sims, they do their own thing, and you can let them do that and see where stuff goes. But a lot of people that play the Sims just like, no, I don't want you to do that. You're gonna go and do what I tell you to, or else you're gonna get out the house.
Right. Yeah. Well, one of the things that I think I see in your work that a lot of modern people, even people that are older than you and have more work, Stephen King, when I was reading his stuff, he got to where, he had the same character over and over and over again in the same scenarios over and over again. And he's somebody that doesn't believe in plotting out books, right? And so basically, because he doesn't plot out his books, there's no variation in his books, right? Because I pretty much know that the lead character is probably going to be a writer of some type or an artist of some type. And, the supernatural thing's going to happen to them, and this is how they're going to respond. And there's going to be a supernaturally powerful little girl in there somewhere. And I swear, look at his like, there's always a supernatural child in there somewhere. He's just obsessed with having a supernatural child in there somewhere. And it's all throughout his. But one thing that he basically, because he doesn't like plan out things, because he like writes from the hip all the time, he basically winds up with characters that are exactly the same as the previous work, and
so he like made his own archetype.
Yeah, exactly. It I guess he's in a rut. He's been in a rut since he's got off of cocaine, so his short stories don't have that problem. It's his longer works that have the problem. But I honestly think short story to novella, he might be the best writer that's ever walked from short story to novella. His short stories, are just so punchy and so like perfect. Carrie
count as a short story, or would that count like as a novel?
Well, it's actually a little over a novella length. There's really not a lot that happens in Carrie, but it's his first book, and his wife actually rescued it from the trash can.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah,
it was in Stephen King's On Writing when you talked about it, right?
Yeah. She saw it in the trash can and she read it and said it had cigarette ashes on it from where he just been like dropping ashes on it. And
I bet you beat him over the head with it.
yeah. But she just said it. She's like, I really like his story. You need to finish it. And he's like, yeah, but it's like I have to figure out teenage girl, and I don't know how to get the teenage girl headspace. And she's like, I'll help you with that, you know. And Son of a Gun, it was the book that broke him, you know. So who knows? I guess is how much have we thrown away that could have been the work that broke us, you know?
Yeah, who knows?
But that's one thing I say in your writing, you know. I mean, you're writing like this Wulfsbane universe, but then you're writing something else. Let me play this right quick.
I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
Everything looked good until you showed that black guy on the cover. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah. I need to hire Res Scan. So, oh well.
Oh no, I wasn't talking about the Red Scan. You're good.
No, okay.
Trust me, I'm not that good at technology either.
Well, but yeah, so you went from like a teenage werewolf to this, and so, you know, and I've seen several other things that you've written that were like entirely different from this. You know, I mean, you don't get stuck in a rut. You know, I said all that about Stephen King to say this. You know, that you go places with your writing, and you're very ambitious about that. And this particular work, the Pendragon, I got to see like a scene early on that you wrote with David and Merlin, I think.
Merlin, yeah.
And
yeah, go ahead.
but you know, at that time, I didn't really I was like, where can you go with this? You know, I didn't quite understand the scope of what you were attempting. And I think it's because you know, I was looking at like just one part of it, you know, but then when you started showing all this art, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I thought it was this, but he's going for this, you know?
Yeah. Shoot. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Doing this journey for Pendragon, it's been a really fun ride, and over the course of like months to like a year or whatever, the story's really evolved. And quick shout out, I want to thank Piper, Alejandro, Michael Oden, and Carly Gracia, David Smelling. All of you guys really helped me flesh out this book and made it better than what I possibly could have imagined. And you guys have helped give me the tools to make this thing a potentially huge success. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Odin and Piper. Wow.
Yeah, so Odin was actually one of the people that actually helped me go into the right direction when I when he was originally set to be a part of the book. and he gave me like a really good idea to help me diverge from what I was originally going to be doing. And once the book comes out and everything, I'll be able to fully disclose that, because I don't want to spoil the book. But it was a really nice change.
Well, you know, I had Kimosabi look at my script early on, and he pointed out, you know, something that where I took a whole bunch of stuff out of that first book and actually made a second book, and it made the first book so much tighter. And he was only part of he only like read that one script one time, and he came up with that one. So that one suggestion, which just really incredibly improved the book. And so, you know, somebody doesn't have to be with you long to spark you in a very positive change to what you're doing. And that's, you know, a lot of people, I see a lot of people who are like, I don't want to collaborate with anybody. I don't want anybody stealing my ideas, you know, and I understand that to some extent, but at the same time, you know, finding people that you can collaborate with, that you trust, or that have their own thing going on, so they don't have to steal your thing. That just, more eyes on a thing is always help, is always an improvement. Because, you know, you get stuck in your own head, you get myopic, you know, you get to where you just have your four walls, and you really need somebody else that has never been there before. Because it's like somebody visits your house and they see something that you didn't see, you know, because you see it every day, and they come in and they're like, "Oh, that's new," and you're like, they're like, "Oh, wow, I forgot that was there," you know, and that has getting another pair of eyes on a like a script, or, you know, something else, you know, some editing help. I mean, we see that all the time right now. We're getting these projects that nobody else has seen except for the person, and they went straight into production with it. And you can tell that, right. You know, something that changed my entire like approach to this show was I got a book that had been in production for 3 years by one of the top artists, you know, just incredibly drawn, incredibly colored. And the story was just rudimentary. And this, the book was delayed because of all these extra pages, and I could tell these extra pages were just superfluous. He just put these in here because he wanted to. But there was nobody riding shotgun that said, that's too much, okay? I mean, that's just too much, you know. You need to tighten it up, or at least put story in here to justify the pay. And this was a project that funded at 6 figures, and so this is somebody that could have sought that out, you know, could have easily paid for that, or just, it's like if you got that many people wanting your book, I would think you'd want more polish on it, you know, but you know, the thing about it is people on your level, your socioeconomic level, and you're similar to me, you know, you're on a shoestring budget, and yet you're like, you know, you're seeing it as a priority to bring people in, which, you know, you have to pay some of them to bring them in, and pay them for their time. And yet you see that as a priority, and the ultimate product is going to be way better for that.
I feel you. Like, if I could add something, it's like my main goal with the whole reason of why I make comics in general isn't to get my name out there. Like, it would be nice if my name did get out there, but I honestly think that I'm more in service to the philosophy of art and literature than I am to actually, you know, to like the creator. Like me, I wouldn't be doing this if I felt like I wasn't good. If you know, like if I was completely terrible and I didn't have any business to be here. If that was the case, then I'd be out the door for a second. If that ever comes to a point where it's like, what the hell am I doing? I'm just gonna retire.
Well, we've gotten books from some people that really should retire, but that think that they've got it and they really don't. So, Woodrow hell had it open on Twitter, but I moved over here. I feel like the same way. I've heard so many people saying I don't need an editor. Seems like shooting yourself in the foot. Yes, yes. Of course, our buddy Woodrow has got this incredible book that he needs to get out to people.
Yes,
you know, we've been seeing images from this thing for like 3 years now. Man, get that thing out there anyway. But honestly, I think it's like the whole Peter Parker thing. To much that it's given, much is Uh,
rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Uncle Ben. But
No, rest in peace, Peter Parker. He's done.
Peter Parker. Oh, really? He is? Oh, crap.
No. I'm talking about like his spirit. His spirit is gone, man.
Yeah. Well, pretty much. But what did Uncle Ben say? With great power comes great responsibility. It's a paraphrase of, to much that is given, much is required, from the Bible. And basically all that means is if you got greater resources, you should have a better product. If you have the resources to bring something out, it should be a superior quality. And yet we're seeing guys who have up to even 7 figures that are putting out subpar product. And it's just like, what are you doing? What are you doing with all this stuff?
So basically, if you have the ability to do good, you should do good.
Yes. If you have the ability to put out the best thing possible, and yet there's so much emphasis on putting out the best art possible, and it's like they're skimping on the story, and yet you got people like you and people like a lot of these guys like Shadowpunk and people like that who basically they nail down the story and they get another pair of eyes on it, and they get the script to like as perfect as possible, and then they hire the best artists that they can find, and in the end result is you get this piece of art that can be like somebody can like carry with them and reread and enjoy, and a world that they can visit, and I got so many books to where I don't feel like going back to that world, because there was nobody when I read that book, there was nobody to care about. And so,
yes.
if I
get that.
Well, in your book, with your writing, I usually, every time I see an Aaron Jordan, I go get it, because
Thank you.
Because I know that there's going to be somebody I care about. There's going to be somebody that I'm like got an investment in, and so how do you feel like that you do that? How do you accomplish that? To give people somebody that they're invested in, that they want to come back and see the adventures of. What's your philosophy about that?
Honestly, as I said before, it just boils down to empathy and putting yourself in another character's shoes without inserting yourself into it. If I can elaborate on that, let's take Lawrence for example. He's a teenager. He recently found out he can he's cursed to become a werewolf. But how would you feel if you had that going on, and then years prior to that, something messed up happened to you, and you honestly feel like if that single thing didn't happen, you would be a little bit better off than where you are now, despite the fact that you're kind of howling out full moon and you're ripping people to shreds. Like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like if you look at that, you can see that behind that, there's somebody that's yearning to have some sort of freedom, because he hasn't been able to live the life the way he wanted to, and now he's forced to play by another set of rules that he never even asked for. Oh, hey, Wookie.
Hey, Wookie. Yeah, it's almost like, most people, their werewolf stories are like, I'm turning into a werewolf. This is the most important thing in my life, and yet Lawrence is like, and I'm turning into a werewolf. You know.
Like, like I think a good representation of that, if we're gonna be talking about Lawrence, is the Wolfman 2010. Even though some people don't like the movie, I love it.
Yeah.
There is a good dichotomy between Lawrence and that's where I got the name from. Lawrence Talbot.
Lawrence Talbot, yeah.
Talbot, yeah. But there's a good dichotomy between Lawrence and his father, who have had a strange relationship before he even came to the town, because that's where he's originally from, I believe.
Right.
So not only is he playing off the fact that he's a werewolf and he's trying to figure this whole thing out, he's also playing off the fact that his brother's dead. He has to come back and see all that. He has to deal with his dad, who he doesn't like. And so it's like an extra layer of oomph to it, to the story. I love that.
Yeah, his brother was like a goody two shoes and the apple of his father's eye, and so he's got to like deal. And so he's got that resentment there. But and who doesn't? Who that has other siblings doesn't have that feelings? That the parent. Mom always did love you best. I mean, that's like inherent to any sibling relationship. It's like, well, I'm not the goody two shoes, or I'm not the golden child. But you take that and you put it in a situation where a guy is like wolfing out, and that's kind of like an adolescence thing, It's kind of like Teen Wolf,
Exactly.
where it just like complicates the shit out of his life that he didn't need, and but he's kind of liaison. It's kind of weird because Lawrence is kind of laissez-faire about it. It's like, oh man, I must have killed somebody last night. Damn it. And I have a math test today,
Oh yeah, trust me. Once we get to issue 3, I'm actually going back and I'm doing like a retreading of everything that we had before. So all that stuff gets amped up, and you get to see a whole bunch of that stuff that was missing from the initial scene. It's gonna be freaking great.
Well, let me there's an issue that I saw somebody kind of come after you on Twitter about that they thought you were a race swapping author, king author, and
yes,
and I kind of like stepped in and I was like, it's not a race swap. A race swap was if author was black, and author's not black. It's just the mantle of author that falls on this poor kind of like ordinary schlub in modern America,
Yeah.
And
I mean, I guess some of that is my fault because I didn't really specify what the setting was.
Right.
So I also got that I was taking David and I was putting him back into medieval times. David never goes back to the past. Everything that with him in it is in the present day. And the flashbacks that you see with Arthur and everything, those are just flashbacks. Like if you go to like regular TV shows or movies, they have that stuff in there all the time. And it's pretty much information that you need to understand the present day story.
Backstory. Yeah.
Exact backstory.
And plus you got Murden who was there, and so Mirrodin, and he was there, and he's kind of like, your bridge between the two times. But the thing I like about what I read, the script I read, and the thing that you've been talking about, David, and the fact that David is not remarkable in any way. Usually if something like falls to somebody, they have some kind of remarkable thing about them. They're more intelligent than normal, or they're more athletic than normal. But this guy was like destined to, change tires, or
exactly.
or serve burgers. I mean, this guy was just destined for like dead end life, because he wasn't motivated. He didn't care about anything. He was just like living his life, and have ambitions. He didn't have like dreams for a future. He wouldn't try to be a rap star or anything. And then suddenly he gets handed this mantle and this like edict that he has to save the world, and he's kind of pissed off about it.
I mean, in his mind, it makes sense why he would be, but
right.
He's a kid. He's still
right.
a kid. But yeah, with that whole thing with David just being this ordinary nobody, and this actually ties into his namesake too. It's
right.
It's sort of like I took a little bit of parable from the story of David and Goliath. Too. So it's like this little shepherd boy who, like by all accounts, he wasn't really destined for anything that we know of. Obviously, God had a plan for him and whatnot. But at the time, nobody thought that he was going to be anything. But he had to show everyone that what he was about to be able to become king and slay Goliath and everything. So I honestly thought that was a really good message to the story.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was named after David. That makes perfect sense. But I mean that underdog story is it's enjoyable, but only if the underdog is somebody we like.
Exactly.
You have to root for these. You have to root for people, and I see it all the time where they like make their underdog kind of like somebody that you're not rooting for, and they just make it too easy on them. And it's like it's like Craig, Dark Craig, my friend. He had a John Hughes thing happen to him in high school. Okay.
I don't know who that guy is.
Well, John Hughes is this he like did Pretty in Pink, he did The Breakfast Club, he did all these coming of age stories.
Which one was he in? Was he
no, he was the director.
Oh, John Hughes. Okay. I thought he was one of the characters.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off, he directed all these. Right?
Okay, nice. I know that one.
Well, but in his stories, there's always like an underdog or somebody like who has something happen to them that's like extremely out of left field, and then suddenly they have to deal with the sudden popularity. Okay, and so Craig he spent all this time in like he had this secluded farmhouse childhood, out in the middle of nowhere, and his brothers and sisters were all older than him. And so he spent his times like listening to these records over and over again and singing these songs to these records. And suddenly one of and he was a complete cipher at school. Nobody knew who he was. Okay. Nobody, barely knew his name. And he finds out that they're doing this musical that was one of the records that he had sung to. Right. And so he comes in he just comes out of nowhere and he shows up and he does the song, this like solo from the musical, and he does it so well that instantly overnight he's being invited to parties. He's been, he's on everybody's radar, and he's suddenly like, he's the go-to guy for like solos or whatever. And so he went from like people that less than zero people didn't know who he was to somebody who was like one of the cool kids, being invited to parties, and at the country club and things like that. And it happened overnight. He was like so John Hughes. I mean, it's like one of those coming of age But the thing about it is though, is the only reason that happened was because of all this time all these things that he did by himself. Listen to these albums and sing it to them over and over again until he had it perfect. He had his vocal. The vocal was perfect on it. And so when he had that opportunity and he just knocked it out of the park, everybody's like, "Oh, this guy," right? And that's the same thing that happened to David. David did all that stuff in private. He killed the lion, he killed the bear to save the chick. And so when the Goliath showed up, he was ready to go, you know. And I think a lot that whole underdog thing is you see this over and over again in underdog stories where this person might be an underdog, but there's a determination there, or there's like preparation there that they've been working on for a long time, and it just suddenly their day has come, you know, their moment has arrived, you know, and they're ready for it, you know. And I think everybody has that in them where they all long for that moment to arrive, you know. That suddenly something happens, and you know they're center stage, you know. Hey Shadowpunk, what's up, dude? But that's like the heart of a underdog story. So what is it about David that makes him the guy to pick up Excalibur?
Honestly, outside of everything that you said, I can't spoil it, but
okay.
Pretty much, he's completely useless. He has to work. The reason why I did this is because I knew the backlash that I was gonna get if I had him just automatically be like adept at wielding a sword, even though he's never wielded like an actual sword in real life, stuff like that.
So he's not a natural though. So he's not a natural then.
So he probably played baseball a few times before, so he's good at swinging. But other than that, he doesn't know nothing about sword play.
There you go. There you go. Gotcha. Well, I mean, that's part of the writing challenge. You know, you set challenges for yourself, and that's obviously a challenge that you've set for yourself. That David has to basically be just a ordinary schlub off the street, and he gets this opportunity. You know, and that narrative works. You know, that happens.
Exactly. Hard work is just as good as anything else. Like, even it doesn't really matter where you start as long as you're determined and you're focused on trying to do the best. I wouldn't necessarily say the right way, because there honestly is no right way now that I'm looking throughout like everyone's life and stuff like that.
Right.
As long as we're trying to find a way that works for you.
Yeah. So that's pretty much your writing philosophy, huh? Just
yeah.
Yep. Well, I mean, hard work. It takes hard work, and it takes preparation, and it takes doing a lot of writing, a lot of you know, keeping the tools sharp. That way, when the story comes to you, you can write it. You know. All author stories must include the lines, "Your lust will hold you up."
Your lust.
I think he's talking about the movie Excalibur.
You said that? See,
yeah,
I told you I fell asleep during that movie. You got to excuse me for that. I don't know.
Well, it's a rough pace. Okay, it's not a modern paced movie. I'll give you that.
I just got to watch it on my day off. If I watch it in the morning, that should be good.
Well, just watch a little bit till you get sleepy, and then, you know, walk away, do something else, and then come back to it, you know, later on. Eventually you'll get hooked into it, because Erlen says that to Uther as he rides his horse through Flock. Yeah.
I mean, he's not wrong. That lust definitely kept him up.
Yeah. That will definitely keep you up at night. Yeah, definitely. Anyway. They also have sex in full plate mail. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that happened.
That must be painful.
I imagine so.
I should write that in somewhere.
Do you have a love interest in your Pendragon? You have a Guinevere?
Well, technically, Guinevere. The actual Guinevere is. He's kind of not there, but if we're talking about like between the main characters, I count Mervyn as a main character. So I'm debating on whether or not David should have one, but definitely there's a huge. I think there's a really good love story between Mervyn and Nimue, the Lady of the Lake, that hasn't really been touched upon. So you'll see a little bit of that in Pendragon, and I think right now it's a pretty somber moment. But as we go on, that shit's gonna hit when you reread it. It's gonna be like, dang, I feel bad for the dude.
I love that. I love those things. Like I'm writing a story for somebody right now, and I'm 10 pages in, and it's been a little bit of a slog because I'm having to do the world building as I write, and because it was like just handed to me, and there's a lot of ideas, and I'm having to assemble them into a script, and that happens sometimes, and but basically there's a sacrifice, this sacrifice of a loss of a loved one that has to be like hinted at, but it can't be like established, and it's like the big punch, the big gut punch. And so knowing that that's going to happen, you have to seed things all along. You have to like plan how much you reveal, how much is revealed and how much is not, and and you also have to know kind of like the arc that you're dealing with. And I see a lot of things that are really poorly paced all the time, where somebody took like one book and like split it up into multiple books, but they didn't change the pacing. And that happens all the time, and you'll be like, we're stopping here? This is where we're stopping? Nothing happened. Nothing happened in his book. So,
See, I don't understand that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's terrible, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, so pacing is everything, especially if you're going 2 or 3 years between books,
Yes.
And so there's one guy who like promotes around us all the time, and I haven't bought any more books off of him because every book I've bought of him so far, hasn't gone far enough in the narrative, and I'm like,
oh, you're just getting like a short burst and then you stop and you gotta wait for another short burst. Okay, yeah.
Right.
I can understand that.
And so I'm like, I'm waiting until you get the whole thing, dude. I'm waiting to the whole arc before I get this because, stop, start, 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 stop, start, stop, start.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they need, Luke Stone. He does this. He like cuts his story up into smaller books, but then and he puts out a trade later. But each book has an arc to it.
Exactly. It has a beginning, middle, and end.
Right. And so I'm looking forward to Pendragon. I'll probably wait till it hits FMC before I back it, but I'm definitely going to back it. I tried to back everything on FMC if I can. And so I see that you're going to have it available in August, so I'm probably going to wait till then to back it.
Yeah, no problem. Like, even if it doesn't, go ahead. What are you saying?
Well, unless you're not going to be able to fund on Kickstarter, then I'll back it over there.
No, I was gonna say, okay. To that, I was gonna say, even if it doesn't hit hit the numbers that I wanted to on Kickstarter, I'm still gonna do the Fund My Comic campaign, and and I'll just relaunch the Kickstarter after a while. But Pendragon, no matter what happens, I'm determined to make this book come out. Like, honestly. Even after all that's happened, and I told you, I filled you guys in the crew in about like, what happened a couple months ago and stuff like that. But because of that, I honestly did some self-reflecting, and I think that this book needs to come out for that particular reason.
Gotcha. Totally get it. Anyway, how many backers does CG assess a story that way, instinctually or intentionally? Very few. Very few. 50-50. I would say it's more like 60-40. I my esteem has gone up a little bit, but I finally got a pretty decent run of books lately. But there for a while, it's like Soltak. Soltak is like a crazy Mad Ruth's book. You'll be on his show tomorrow night.
Oh yeah,
and when I read the like the smaller ash cans, I was like, No, it was the trade book. When I read the trade book, you know what? That was the first thing I got. I was pretty much like, I was like, this is paced wrong. You know, I'm not quite enjoying this, and even though it was still a decent story, it just like felt odd. But then when I got the ash cans were perfect. Yeah. And the ash cans were such a better book, because when there were smaller stories, it like flowed better. And I've never seen that before. But he wrote it to the ash can, or not the ash can, but the floppy. He wrote it to the floppy, the smaller book. And then the collected, when he put them all collected together, it didn't quite land like the floppies did. And that's the first time I've ever seen that happen. Because his pacing was all about the floppy. I guess. Well, we got a guy. Hey, Wookie, we're about to.
I decided I'd invade for just a second and say hi, and everybody go and back Aaron's book.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, my son. How have you been though? You been all right?
I've been fine, except burning like a piece of bacon in a frying pan.
Oh, dude, who are you telling?
It's like friggin' 112 over here at 2:00. Like
Arizona. He lives in Arizona.
God.
Ooh, yeah.
You live in a freaking desert.
I know, right? Look at this sand.
Move out of the desert. This is sand. See, this is sand. You know what it's going to be 100 years from now? It's going to be sand.
Oh, dang. You sound like Anakin Skywalker right now, bro.
No,
it's a Sam Kinison bit.
A poor impression of Sam Kinison.
Oh, Sam Kinison.
That was a bit he did back in the day.
Yeah, he's talking about Ethiopians. He's
talking about people the food relief and taking food out to people who can't grow crops and.
Okay, that's
he's like, I see all these starving children, and I think, gee, the cameraman could probably bring him a sandwich,
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what that joke's about. Yeah, it was like 90 degrees at 6:00 this morning.
Yikes! Yeah. He sent me a text with like it was 85 at that time, and I was like 85 ain't bad, and then I looked, it was like
time.
Holy shit! It's 6:00. What?
Yeah.
85 is 6:00.
Yeah. See, it was cooler than yesterday by 5 degrees.
Hey,
yesterday at 6 it was 90. This morning it was 85.
It's practically arid.
I know, right? We're having a cold snap.
Anyway,
Aaron, much luck on the book, man. And feel free to drop in our conversations Saturday night.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I bet.
We're gonna talk about the Mothman.
Oh wait, what?
Oh, Mothman. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I do love the Mothman.
Cryptids and conspiracies. Yeah, that'll be Saturday night. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Good Stuff are going to be there.
Cool.
At least they're hoping they're to be there. They actually went to Point Pleasant, and so it'd be cool to talk to them.
All right.
Yeah,
well, I'm going to skip out, and and I will see you.
Stay cool.
Yeah. Don't threaten me. All right, guys. Have a good one.
All right, see you, dude.
All right. Bye-bye.
All righty. Like he said, the link is pinned in the chat. That'll be to the Kickstarter campaign. And so he's definitely, even if it doesn't fund on Kickstarter, he is definitely going to take it to FMC. I think it was August the 16th. Was it?
August. Dang, when was the 16th? Yes, it was the 16th.
Okay, there you go. All right. All right. And so if you don't like backing on Kickstarter, some people don't. It's pretty awkward to back on Kickstarter. Your money doesn't come out to the end of the campaign.
Oh, yeah,
and it's the same with FMC. The FMC has the same system, but if you want to fund on FMC, it is coming to FMC. Even if he doesn't fund on Kickstarter, he's definitely bringing it to FMC. And basically, I'm a big FMC pusher back around here. But yeah, but check out this book. It's a kind of a painted style, but it's a kind of like a unique painted style. Very graphic designed, and I really every time he brings out a new panel, my jaw drops. I'm like, holy shit!
You should have seen the one that I posted today.
I did see it. Yeah,
I was debating on doing that one for like months because like I didn't want to spoil the story, but I also wanted to show something cool. So I was like, they don't know who this guy is. It's fine.
All I know is the scary skull dude. That's all I know. he looks pretty terrifying. So if that's David's first guy to face, I mean, holy crap! Talking about that's like, hey kid, your first one-on-ones are gonna be with Michael Jordan.
My dad.
Prime Michael Jordan. So yeah, good luck with that.
Good
luck with that.
Shoot, that's when he was on the Bulls, right?
Yeah. Nobody's facing. Your age, I'd probably say,
nah.
The Black Mamba. Somebody like that.
Rest in peace. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a nightmare 101. Kobe Bryant. Yeah.
Kobe Bryant was so good.
Oh yeah, he was. Did you know he was going to be a Charlotte Hornet?
Oh really?
Yeah, he was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets, and then they traded him.
That. Okay.
They traded him to the Lakers for, I think it was Lottie D-Box. Yeah.
So they were so mad that he kept missing the shots. Like, dude, he's old. Like, what do you want him to do? He can't make as many shots. Just play around that. Stop relying on him all the time.
Right. Well, they gave him no help, and then they're like surprised that he couldn't take them back to the championship.
Exactly. Like, dang, what's wrong with you?
Then when he retired, he dropped 80. The night he retired. So it's
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. I think it was 80. Wasn't it 80?
I'm not even sure.
It's like one of the biggest scores or biggest personal performances in NBA history. I think.
Did he get a ring for that? Because I know he had like multiple rings.
No, I mean it was just like his last game.
Okay.
Yeah, at least one of his last games. It was like, he dropped it. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But make sure you check out Aaron's book. It's on the Kickstarter right now. Check out his art. Follow him on Twitter so you can see the art as it drops. And if you want to wait till FMC, that's on August the 16th. I think we pretty much confirmed that. And
2 months, yeah.
But I can confirm. I mean, we were like showing. We had like a show and tell thing on this show by the love stream. And Aaron, we're like reading our own work, and Aaron brought this thing out, and he read it, and it's like, holy crap, man, that's good. And then later on, I asked him about it, and he's like, I think it's on the floor here somewhere. And I'm like, that was like better than most of the writing I get, and you just had it laying on the floor somewhere, Ibis.
Yeah, what was on the floor?
It was Iblis, I think.
Oh, Ibis. Oh, Ibis, that was the one I just when I did that, I just started writing that one, and I was only 2 pages in,
and it's freaking good. It's freaking awesome, man.
Dude, thank you. Hopefully,
and you're just like, okay, let me lay this brilliance down and just stick it over here. Okay, well, whatever, I mean, I was like, you're just so freaking talented. It's disgusting, man. It really is. Anyway, so make sure you check out Pendragon. I have no doubt in my mind it's going to be just epic. And I plan on backing it as soon as possible. But anyway, thanks for coming on once again, Aaron, and your home away from home here on the Rabbit Hole. And enjoy the Friday nights. Tomorrow night, 9:00, I think. And in the Rabbit Hole's going to have Cryptids and Conspiracies on Saturday night. Tomorrow night, we're going to do another Friday Night Right. I don't yet have my topic yet, but I'm hoping that somebody will give me a prompt tomorrow. And that's basically just me taking a concept from a prompt all the way to an actual writing piece. and just show my methodology. That's a brand new thing I do on Friday nights. I figure everybody else is like doing like shows, but it's just something I can do and be productive. But that's going to be Friday tomorrow night around 7:00, and Cryptids and Conspiracies is going to be on 7:00 on Saturday night, and the Mothman Prophecies. Hope to have Mr. and Mrs. Good Stuff on with the usual Wookiee Fever crew. And we're going to talk about Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and the Silver Creek, or the Silver Bridge that collapsed, and all the craziness that happened around that. And the fact, Mothman, is it a harbinger or is it a cryptid? That's the question. Anyway, but that's going to be on Saturday night. But I'll let you go, Aaron. I know you got plenty to do, and you guys have a very good night. And remember, follow the White Rabbit, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody. See you later.
Thank you.